Hi, and welcome to How to Dane, a show about cultural differences. My name is Siri, I'm 21 years old, and I'm from Holland. This summer, I decided to turn my life around, so I packed my bags, said goodbye to my typical Dutch life, and moved to Denmark. It's now been 7 weeks since I arrived in Denmark. I feel like I'm slowly getting used to and maybe even start to appreciate Danish culture. Biking with all the strict Danish biking rules is way more relaxed than having to maneuver through Dutch traffic. And nothing makes you more happy than finding something cheap in the expensive Danish supermarkets. But still, sometimes I am still shocked or confused by the behavior of the hygge loving Vikings that are now my friends, classmates, and neighbors. And one of these moments was actually this week. So that's why I wanted to make my show about it this week. It was when one of my friends from Holland sent me a Dutch news article. Copenhagen mayor resigns after admitting sexual harassment. I was just shocked. Why did none of my Danish friends or classmates mention this news? Is it simply not a big topic? Where was the outrage, the protests? Where was the Danish feminism? That's why I decided that this week I wanted to talk about the cultural differences within feminism. And our Dane of the week is Ida Marie. Thank you so much for being here, Ida.
You're welcome.
Can you quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Ida, and I am 20 years old, 27, 20 in my dreams, 27 years old, and I am studying theater and performance studies at Copenhagen University. And yeah,
Where in Denmark are you from? From Copenhagen, actually? Or?
No, actually not. I have been raised. Oh yeah, like a province of Copenhagen, Tostrup. If you know Tostrup.
Nah, I don't know. It all sounds the same in my ears.
It's almost Copenhagen.
Okay.
And then also in the middle of Zealand, like half and half. Kind of. Yeah.
So I just mentioned the hashtag #MeToo allegations against Frank Jensen. Do I pronounce it right? Yeah. Who was until last week the mayor of Copenhagen. What was the reaction amongst your friends when you heard this news?
Oh, I don't really think I've talked a lot about it with my friends actually, because of the virus, but also I don't. It's mostly in the media and via Facebook that this conversation is maybe, and maybe that's why your friends didn't either talk about it, which is kind of weird. But just like mentioning it in passing mostly and be like, that's fucked up. Yes, it is. And then on with the day.
So it's not a real topic of conversation.
Not as I have experienced it.
But today it is, so we will come back to it later. But first I want to introduce our second guest of today, Natalia. Natalia, so good to have you on my show today. We're good friends also already in the 7 weeks I've been here. Can you quickly introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Natalia. I'm from Colombia, a small town from Colombia. I think no one knows about the town, just the people who were born there. I'm studying sustainable design engineer with Siri at Aalborg University, and yeah, I just recently also moved first from Colombia to Germany, then from Germany to Copenhagen. So we have like the same time here.
Yeah, we're both fresh in the Danish culture.
Yes, it's different, but it's nice to now.
Yeah. So Natalia, I already mentioned, but we are good friends. And when I saw the news about the Me Too allegations against the mayor, I sent you a message. Actually, I think I just sent you a news article. What were your thoughts when you first learned about this news?
I think my first thought was, "Oh, this also happens here." But I also was like surprised that no one was talking about that. Like, seems like Denmark they solve everything somehow in some way, but then just this happens, and was like, okay, but no one was talking, and I'm used to always discuss this kind of things with my friends, the people around me, people at uni, and no one was talking about it. And so it was completely strange. Like I was like, okay, it's COVID time, so no demonstrations, but at least saying something. And It was strange.
Yeah, it was kind of the same experience like I had. Well, I really look forward to diving into this topic of feminism a bit further today. But first, I want to welcome our listeners today also, and I would like to do that with some girl power. So here's a song by Lizzo, one of my feministic icons. Hi, and welcome back to How to Dane, a show about cultural differences, where this week we talk about cultural differences within feminism with my Colombian friend Natalia and my new Danish friend Ida. So, let's just try to dive into this topic. I actually thought a long time about how can we kind of start this conversation because I assume that when I asked both of you, like, what is feminism? You would give very similar answers like men, women, other genders, everyone should be equal. So instead, I want to ask you what moments did you experience where you felt like you needed feminism? Or kind of why do we still need feminism? Is there someone who wants to answer that question first?
Should I begin?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. When did I discover that I needed feminism? I think it's an ongoing thing. I keep like rediscovering it actually. Um, and I think also as the older I get, the more I discover how important it really is. Even though I live in Denmark and I have a privileged life and a privileged upbringing and all those things, but also just like, yeah, this with the Copenhagen mayor, like rediscovering it because I feel like at some point we just like get comfortable and then something happens and everything and then we get comfortable again here in Denmark because it's not that bad, is it really?
So it's not that big of a topic in your everyday life, you feel like?
To me it is. To me
Yeah.
it is. Also because I go to university and I have classes that actually are about feminism and how we are still not equal. And I have a lot of friends that don't like live the heteronormative life, and they have a lot more walls put up in front of them than I have. So then I'm like, yes, we still need feminism.
Yeah.
Even for myself as a female in this world, I'm sometimes you have to reflect on it because when you are raised in this society, you don't think about it. It's this just how it is, you know. But the older I get, I'm like, but why?
Why is it that
Why
way?
is it this way? Why am I the one who have to like service the men at some points, like in family gatherings and stuff like that? Not in a weird way, but just like that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Like walking around with a plate of chocolate and be like, "Do you want some
Yeah.
chocolate?" So that's, and then I'm like, earlier I wouldn't think about that at all, but now I'm like, but why really? And it's just about a part of my grandparents, how they were raised, how everything is supposed to be. And also I'm single, so that's also a thing.
Yeah. There's just a lot of crap we as women have to deal with that the other gender doesn't have to deal
Yeah,
with.
Yes.
So well, how is it for you, Natalia? Like being from Colombia,
Mm.
why do you still need feminism?
Okay, I think I start with the feminism thing when I just slightly were discovering like small differences related with men and women. So like power structures, also with my family. Like I'm from a small town, really conservative, and there were few dynamics in school and also family gatherings that I was like, but this feels weird. So it was make me feel uncomfortable. Um, not in a weird way as well, but I'm also not the average Colombian girl. I still love my culture, but there's a lot of things, and I think we still need it because we don't have the same rights. Like it's not equal. It's this is a society that just take the default, and now the default like actually is have always been I think men,
Yeah.
white, uh, and the rest that doesn't heterosexual of course. And if it doesn't fit there, it's a struggle. It's just you have to struggle for the
Yeah.
basic things that doesn't apply for the other for the default. So I think I think for me it was I still need it until there is no default at least, or the system doesn't exclude what is not similar. I think we need feminism.
Yeah. And I just think like what I can add from my Dutch background, by being in like being your average Dutch girl, is that it's also just in the really small things for me. So I just grew up in Holland in this really safe environment, but there were still a lot of moments I just felt uncomfortable just because of my gender, like what you said, like maybe having to take this role as a servant or like the babysit at every family party or whatever. Although in my family I didn't really experience it, but at other places maybe. So for me it was, I wrote two things down. It was, I realized it really heavily when I started in engineering university, because in my program there were a lot of women, but the overall university was like 15-20% women. And I just encountered so many teachers who said things like, okay, all girls will hate this class. And that just demotivated me really. And just assuming that because I'm a girl, I'm less interested in physics, or like those small things or informal settings I've experienced a lot of times, just really sexist jokes that for obvious reasons are always only jokes for the men present, and just really uncomfortable for all the women there. So for me it's just really in these small things. So in everyday life also, I think we shouldn't forget about that, because it's also about the bigger things. And that's why I maybe also am interested in Danish feminism, because I feel like the bigger things of Danish feminism, you kind of are doing better than the rest of the world. We were just talking about like just before we started, we were talking about the payment gap. So Denmark is actually on top of the list of gender equality. So I think it's interesting that you still have a lot of like the problems with it. You still have the sexual harassment allegations. You still have the everyday small inequality in your life. Yeah. So that's just something I wanted to say. Let me see. Well, there I asked you to bring a song also that reminded you of feminism. Natalia, you brought a song for us that you actually showed to me earlier also this month.
Yes.
Can you explain a bit what the song is about and why you choose to bring it today?
Wow. So in Latin America we have this gender that is called reggaeton. Everyone dance it, like everyone is familiar with the thing, and usually the lyrics are just too violent for women. It's like of course you have a advantage here, like you don't get all of it, but like there's a lot of social things that are like, oh, this is just mess, like this is like this cannot happen. And there's this guy that is Bad Bunny. He's also 20 something,
I
early
already
20s.
like his name, Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny. And for me also, like I always question everything, and overthinking is my hobby. And I was like, how can a woman can like perreo, like reggaeton, like how, like just like saying so nasty things.
Because I don't know if you already have Danish reggaeton, but the Dutch reggaeton is also really unfriendly towards women. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
And of course, Bad Bunny keeps saying things like are like, oh, okay, but it's a cultural thing somehow that I still don't accept. But with this song, he's not the typical reggaeton singer. So he paint his nails. He always invite different kind of women, body type wise, in his videos. He's always talking about things that no one is talking. And this Yo Perreo Sola is basically like I twerk alone. So he raps, but he sings about a struggle. Like if you go to a club, man, the guys is always hitting on you. Like if you're alone in the bar and you can just not be like dance alone. Like I love dance and I love preo. It's mi pasión. So, but I hate it when I'm dancing and just a guy just thinks like, oh, maybe she needs someone to dance, unless I'm just like, so you see this and like, no, dude, thank you. So he said he sings about this, and we have a thing in Latin America is like women get murdered, like killed easily. When you say no or when you don't agree, and then say kill in different manners, like at your workplace or in reality, like physically. We have a lot of cases of violence, uh, and he released this song when he's completely transgendered. Like he has boobs, huge boobs. He has a wing, all the style, and he's dancing alone. And like the story about like just like chill, I can do this alone.
Yeah.
And at the end, he has like ni una menos. It's something in every demonstration we somehow like ask for. Is like stop killing women, like stop it. Um, and it's an issue because it's related with gender. So I like it. Still, I have he invite a woman to sing because it's a woman singing, of course, that he doesn't give her credit. So
Okay,
it's
so
doing something, but he's not there yet. But I appreciate, like like it's like babies were then trying to walk. They're
it's baby
dumb.
steps
Yeah,
towards
baby
feminism.
steps. So you
Okay.
have to clap it, because if you say like, but it's not enough,
Yeah.
you can just kill the vibe.
Yeah.
So I think it's nice.
Well, let's just listen to the song.
Yeah.
And yes, welcome back to How to Dane, a show about cultural differences. And this was Yo Perreo Sola.
Yo perreo, yeah.
Yo Perreo Sola by Bad Bunny, a Latin America reggaeton star who's doing baby steps in feminism.
Yeah.
For the people who are interested, there's actually also an English translation of the lyrics of this song. You can find it on Google, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what Bad Bunny basically sings is I twerk alone, right? It is about feeling safe when you go out to clubs. Well, Ida, to get this conversation a bit back towards the Danish culture, do you always feel safe when you go out clubbing in Denmark?
I haven't really been clubbing lately.
Yeah.
But when I did before the coronavirus, I primarily feel safe enough. Not like completely safe, but yeah, mostly.
You feel safe enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never had any experience where I felt threatened, like
Yeah.
really threatened. I have had a lot of uncomfortable experience with people touching me and stuff like that, but not like in a violent way or in a very forcible way.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've also felt uncomfortable in Holland, going out, of course. But then I just listen to Natalia, and I hear you mention, like, casually, like, yeah, maybe if you say no, they will kill you.
Yeah.
That's on a different level for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's completely different. I think the situation in not just in Colombia, in all Latin America, you have to have a group. Like you cannot go and dance alone. I think you cannot just say like, I just feel like I'm dancing. You need a group. Usually it's easy when there's guys there, because yeah, like it's going to sound like awful, but you need like a team of people, like and also you cannot go after certain hours, certain areas, even in the best areas of Bogota. There always a high risk of ended up in a really shitty situation, where like you like when it's rape or when it's like just murder, and it's awful. So it's like it's not easy, and you face all this uncomfortable situation, but in a whole like deeper level, I think. And so yeah, like I never danced reggaeton in Colombia, maybe, but my apartment, like with my friends. But I'm going to a club to dance this? No, never. I used to go to clubs, but it's easy with men, and that's also part of the system. So
Yeah. Okay, so we arrived in Denmark, Natalia, you and I, during the pandemic. So we didn't really go out here yet, of course. But if speaking in general, do you feel more safe in Denmark than you did in Colombia as a woman?
like way more safe. Still, I think there are things happening as well. We don't get all the information somehow, but yeah, definitely. Like it's crazy. It's like it's not only going out; it's daily life. Like taking the train. Usually, like in Colombia, we have like the shittiest transportation system, and even there, you experience like really strong, guys masturbating, and I hear like all kind of things that thank God never happened to me or my closest friends, but that can happen. So you just start like not using things, and it's also the time you spend thinking that something is going to happen just because you're a woman. So this is the time you're in the train thinking, oh, what something is going to happen. Like I have to be really aware, and then you arrive to Europe, and yeah, okay, it's not like heaven and paradise, but I know it's like the chance is way more smaller than
Yeah.
that in Colombia, and that's a huge difference. So yeah.
I think for me, of course, there can always be like evil men. Should I call them that? Yeah, they are
Yeah,
evil
yeah,
men, right?
yeah.
So there can always be evil men, but for me, I really feel like if something like that happens in the train, then there will be other people there who will try to protect me.
Yeah.
Is it not that way in Colombia or?
Yeah, like sometimes you experience something that is social justice and they just destroy the guy, but there's also like if the guy is like if it's like in the street and no one is there, nothing is actually going to happen even if women scream like. So it's also it's dependent of many factors. If the guy has a weapon, usually they have weapons like knife and guns or something like that, and sometimes it's socially accepted that like someone grab you like, or someone like this cat talk. And when you're sorry, I remember when I was a small kid, I told my teenager boyfriend like someone is saying things to me, like really nasty things, and he just said like you be thankful because you're beautiful and you receive this kind of compliment. So it's the whole thing. So it's like when it's social, like it's not that bad, like it's like they say like it's not that bad, like they didn't rape you, so just be thankful.
At
Yeah.
least they
Yeah.
didn't
You're
rape
still
you.
alive. Yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to quickly say for the people at home, if this live stream also has a chat function actually. So if there's anyone now watching who has a question about cultural differences within feminism or wants to share their own experience, please send it in the chat. I think you need to log in or something to send it, so you can also send me a message on social media if you want to. Yeah, so there is this one thing I really want to discuss with you, Ida.
Uh-oh.
Because when I decided to make this show about feminism, it was actually kind of me and Natalia together. I was like, well, we were angry about this mayor situation and no one really saying something about it. So we thought, okay, let's do this. And I started looking for a Danish person, or a Danish feminist, basically, who felt comfortable enough to talk about feminism with me. And almost everyone I asked gave the same answer. They didn't feel feminist enough to talk about feminism on my radio show. Even when I said, like, you don't have to be an expert, I just want someone with personal experience of the matter. And every woman has personal experience with inequality. So, where do you think this idea or this feeling comes from, Ida? Why is every Danish girl scared to talk about feminism?
Well, not every day.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
I'm a little bit scared too, but I think it's because it's such a complex thing and because we really do have it good in Denmark. So it feels maybe a little bit egoistic if to be a feminist, or a lot of people think it is. And I think you will always be, if you bring up feminism in a conversation with someone, you will most likely be some kind of killjoy or be labeled as like angry female or something. So I think we're just very scared of what other people think of us. I am scared of what people, as right now. I'm scared. Also scared to say something wrong. I'm scared I don't know enough and I don't represent Danish feminism good enough. So yeah.
So you kind of have this feeling that feminism should always be really radical. Can I say it in that way?
Radical?
Or
yeah, just spoken of in the right way so people understand what it is and don't think I'm some kind of angry woman all the time or something, even though that's a problem in itself.
Yeah, that is just what I was going to say. Like, in some way, we are angry women, right? Like, there is an issue and it needs to get better. So, and of course I understand that just being angry is not the only way. but I do think the protests and the demonstrations are also necessary, because just me sitting in my room saying like, can you please be nicer to me? Like, can you please give me the same money as you give my brothers? That is not going to help, right? So that's just, yeah. Did you hear about any big women's marches or something in Denmark?
No, not really, but it's pretty big on social media.
Yeah.
I think that's where most of the fight is going on
Yeah.
at the moment. For me, I don't know everything about what's going on in Denmark. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand. How do you look at this, Natalia, coming from Colombia?
Like, yeah, I think like the basic things here in Europe in general, they're covered. You know, like
Yeah.
you have like how much, like it's just like an example, but 1 year maternity leave and it's shared.
Yeah, I think so.
And in Colombia they have 3.
3 months,
3
right?
months.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
3
1
years.
year is
It's
3
like,
months.
yeah, no, it's 3 months. And having a pregnant woman in the workplace is just shitty for the rest of the team. It's like, oh, because she has to go to the doctor, because she do so. I think here are the things like covered, like basic things. So it's not that crazy as in Latin America. So it's a comfort kind of area. Like I think so, but for me it's like just strange that you can you're close to be equal, and then you just say like, oh, we're close.
Yeah.
We can
Like,
relax
We
now.
can relax now.
like,
Yeah.
we're almost there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a general feeling, or yeah, I think it's a general feeling in the Danish population.
Yeah.
Even though it's not good enough. And I think that's why it's hard, because like you said, it's just a joke. It's just
Yeah.
you're not fun anymore, and all the killjoy role you have to take to try to make a change. I think that's scary
Yeah.
to
it
a lot
is.
of people, and yeah.
Yeah, and also, of course, I mean, making jokes is okay, I think, but about certain things, it's not okay to make jokes.
Yeah.
And for me, this difference, I just always feel it really well, and I'm not afraid of saying something about it. But I think for other people, it's maybe not always that obvious. Like, there are certain jokes they can make, and sometimes certain jokes they can't make. And like, how can you be funny and still be political correct all the time? I think it's a real struggle.
You can.
Yeah, you can. You can. If you're really funny, you can, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's not only the jokes, it's also the expressions. You know, like I just don't remember one expression like I lately hear like do it as a man. Like, you know, like, oh,
Yeah.
why are you don't be a pussy.
Don't be
Yeah,
a
yeah.
pussy.
And then like pussies are awesome.
Yes,
Pussies
please
are-
be a pussy.
It's like, can you please be a pussy? Like, it's like these kind of things that just like the language is just set the communication base. So open the space for this kind of jokes that they're jokes like really uncomfortable, and they're like so in the society, like, and it's sometimes hurtful when it's like someone close to you. I experienced that with my dad. Like, I love him, but sometimes he is just immerses in this system, and he let me be. And sometimes, like, yeah, okay, then let's start a conversation, family. I appreciate that, because I have the privilege in my family, but I think as women who are not comfortable knows, we also need to say like, yeah, like, I'm going to explain you why it's not like you want to have this conversation. Like, I'm going to kill your joy, but also this kind of microaggressions.
Yeah, because
aggressions.
the system also hurts the male people as well, because they have to be this masculine macho dude all the time, and they don't have to really. It's like, why are we divided in this way? We actually don't need to. So why is it?
And just, why is everyone so afraid of saying they are a feminist? That's also what I'm thinking. Like, because I call myself a feminist, but I'm also like in my friend group known as like the feminist, you know, the climate activist. I do all the different boxes, you know, but then everyone should be a feminist, and I think we all agree on it. And
Yeah.
if you explain to people, they also agree on it. Like
Yeah.
all my friends, they are for equal rights, but they are afraid of calling themselves a feminist because there's just this weird feeling of,
it's the angry woman.
it's the angry woman.
It's like
yeah.
a stigma that can't really get out of the word feminism. You also meet a lot of people who are like, I like feminism, but I'm not a feminist because I feel like it should be called something else, like
Yeah.
humanism or
Yeah.
something like that. And yes, we could call it something else, but it's maybe called feminism because it started with the females not being okay with the situation, but now it's like grown to something bigger.
Yeah.
And if we all agreed to that, then everybody, most people, hopefully, would be feminists.
Yeah. How do you feel in Colombia, like calling yourself a feminist? Would that be something like?
That's a death trap.
Because, for example, I know friends who put like feminists in their Instagram bio, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Like, something
Some
like that.
people
Could you
do
do that living in Colombia or?
I think it's not that easy, to be honest. I think we already have enough in our plate, and just putting the feminism word in that is just too much to handle. Of course, I all my closest friends, like my best friends, they understand the issue. They are there, like if I ask one of my Colombian girls, hey, do you consider, of course they are, we have different movements, we have like, because the gap is so huge that it's still, and also with, like you were saying, like we're more inclusive, we have minorities, like we just not have like women in general. We have black women who suffer, we have women who suffer because war killed just their sons and they don't have enough money to start a fight with the government. Like it's all about the small things. We also have like men who cry, or men who needs to be like this thing that society like has defined as what it's meant being. So I think feminism opens the thing, but in a country as Colombia, in an area like Latin America, I think if it's hard in Denmark, it's way more difficult in Latin America. So my mom, my dad, they were like, be careful with where are you going to say, like, people.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I honestly,
they were afraid of you talking about feminism today.
They're listening. They're like, "Where she's going to say?" Oh my god! Like,
how was that for you, Ida? Like, did you? So you did say you were afraid that you were maybe not knowledgeable enough about the subject, but were you also afraid of like what your parents would think about you? Or
no, not really. I think I haven't even thought of my parents in this situation. I think of my parents as feminists. I don't know if they actually are. I never talked with them. I have talked with them about feminism and why it's important, but they never said, I'm a feminist too.
Yeah.
I just assume, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're nice people.
Yeah. Well, so going maybe a bit more into the subject, you were just touching with like minorities and like there are different women and other women have it more difficult than we have now.
Yeah.
Like you coming from Colombia already have it more difficult than I have it coming from a Dutch family. So, well, nowadays it can also be really trendy to be a feminist, and therefore Taylor Swift is also a feminist nowadays. And I was just thinking, how do you feel like about Taylor Swift as this feministic icon? Because I sometimes, how do I say, like I love it that she's a feminist, but also it's, like we should learn people that you should not only respect Taylor Swift because she's pretty and white and straight and really sexy, so you should also respect women who you are not attracted to somehow. So that's a bit my issue with picking Taylor Swift as this feministic icon. Do you agree or like?
Yeah, I think it's, for me it's hard because it's just like the Hollywood thing is just like, ugh, but I think I'm open, like she's also a girl who have been with I don't know how many guys and everyone is like, oh, she's such a bitch. She's like, and guys do that all the time. Guys like get profit of their relationships as well. And when she is doing that, then it's like an issue. Then she has a problem. So I think it starts the conversation with, "It's not my favorite artist," but I think it's okay. It's like, I think feminism is also accepting that there are different views about the thing, but everyone wants the same. Like, we want just like basic things like equality, like
Yeah.
what is
Mm.
fair,
Yeah.
basically. So for me, it's like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know if I think of her as a feminist icon in my world, but I think she is to a lot of people. And I think she's pretty cool.
Yeah.
She's a pretty cool person, and she's been through a lot in her life in the spotlight in a way that we haven't. And I think it's very good that she calls herself a feminist, so we can get this idea that feminists are different people too. There are people with other genders and all
Yeah,
different
everyone can be
colors,
a
and
feminist.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. And she's a maybe a picture of the cisgendered female who is also a feminist, and I think that's great.
yeah.
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 Okay, well, let's listen to a song of Taylor Swift because I actually think it's also great that everyone can be a feminist, also Taylor Swift. Yes, okay, so just when we were playing this song, actually, I really liked where your discussion was going, so I just want to go a bit back to that.
Okay.
So basically, what you said, I think, Natalia, is like being a feminist is also just choosing what you want to be. So if you want to be like Taylor Swift, like super girly,
Yeah.
you're allowed to be. And you said, maybe you can better say it yourself, like sometimes I'm scared to be too feminine because people will think like I'm not a feminist anymore. Like I can make my own.
I think it's related with profiles. Like, we're really good like putting people in boxes. Uh, um, and I have like this issue. Like, my sister is also like, my mom is as well. Like, even if she doesn't want to accept, but just like small things, asking for like a question like our current system. And one of those, it was like that. Yeah, like I really love dressing nice, and sometimes like I like to, like, I'm the worst with makeup, but I want to be good. Then I'm like, it's because society. I was like, oh, it's because I just wanted to, like. And and I think everyone can build with, like, can choose, like, have freedom to choose what you want to do without other, like. I think it's even hard for me when a woman say to me like, but like, why you're like, why you acting like that, you're not feminist, like not being feminist enough. Like, I think the thing with being enough is like, it's I think it's like everyone should like be how they want to do, like.
So you think that you can be a feminist even if you stay home to take care of the kids, basically?
Yeah, I think that thing is, it's super hard to do. I think being at home with the kids is one of the cheapest job you can have. Like, no one, like, it's really hard. I was with living with kids, and
Yeah, maybe you should explain a bit more. Like,
I used to live in Germany with a mom of four, and it's a full-time job. Like, it's like, like, if the kids have nightmare, he's not going to that, like, Dad, I have a nightmare. No, he's going to wake up mom. If like, it's a full-time job. Like, you suffer as a woman. What happened with the kids? Like, my mom is always like super scared. My dad is like, oh, she's going to be fine. It's all protect me as well, but being a mom is a full-time job.
But how do we know for sure, or can we ever know for sure, that someone is choosing to be a stay-at-home mom by their own, or if they are pressured by society? Kind of. That's what
I think we don't know, but I think we should not punish women that decide to be mom.
Yeah.
That wants, like, this conventional lifestyle. Like, why? Like, if she wants to be a mom, like, it's that I think there is no better mom than the ones who decide to do it. Consciously say it. And besides the work of being a full-time mom, it's like other people questioning and like criticizing your job. It's like, okay, that's enough. So of course I'm thinking like, everyone is having babies and getting married, and I'm like, God, like, but I don't know if I want that, like, but maybe I want, maybe I don't. I just want to be free to decide.
Yeah.
Anyone telling me like, yeah, but with this rule, like, yeah, no, I just want to do whatever I want.
Yeah, like there can still be boxes, but you should just have the option to go in or out of it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and how many times you want.
Yeah. So this is one of the topics that actually feels really close for me, because I think one of the most, well, it sounds really heavy in that way, but in my easy life, one of the most difficult times was when I started high school. Because at elementary school, I was always like this tomboy, you know? Like I was just playing with the boys, it was fine, like just playing football, whatever. But then when I started high school, I was kind of pressured into dressing and behaving more as a girl. Like not by my parents, but just by society, by the comments of other people. Like I always had really good friendships with men or boys. Like but all of a sudden I wasn't allowed to anymore, because if you made a joke, you were flirting or being too eager or whatever, you know? I was just 12 years old. I just wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. And here in Denmark, they always tell us, well, the stories I've heard about Denmark is just this really strong focus on equality, also with children. So, do you feel like if I grew up in Denmark, would I have this still the same story?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
You probably would, because like this, the heteronormative is so like deep inside the bone of society. Our whole culture, like the essence of it, is divided into these two groups, these two genders. And if you don't follow this heteronormative line as a woman, then you're a little bit outside. So you're like not consciously, probably.
Yeah.
You're like pushed into this little box that is what the idea, the patriarchal idea of what a woman is, which isn't
girl.
a real woman. It's just a picture of a woman that nobody can ever be, really.
Yeah. So I think maybe that made me a feminist also, you know? Like just not fitting the box perfectly. Like I had to find a way to deal with it. And I didn't want to be unhappy, so I became a feminist. I think it's sometimes it is a bit like that. Yeah.
But I really feel like too that nobody fits into that box.
Yeah.
Like a lot of us strive to fit into it, but it's kind of impossible. We aren't like small perfect human beings.
Yeah.
We all have experiences and looks a certain way and have different colors in our skin and all of that stuff. So I really don't think anybody fits perfectly into that box.
No, I also.
And I think that's very good.
Yeah, that makes it a better world. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for sharing, first of all. But I just wanted to move like to a different part. So if people have listened this show before, they know that normally I make a part that is it weird or is it Danish? Where I describe something from the streets of Copenhagen and asked our Danish person, like, is it a tradition or is it just one weird person doing this? But today that felt a bit weird because, you know, like, of course, sexual harassment and gender inequality is weird, you know? So that's why I decided to skip that part today. But I did prepare some dilemmas for you, just to see if we agree or disagree. And if we disagree, why? So my first dilemma of the day is, would you rather live in a world with or without gender? If you could choose.
I think there's a sense of like comfortableness in the idea of gender, because it's safe kind of in the world that we live in now. But I really think that if we didn't have it, then maybe it would be better, or we'll just find another way to divide people, like racism.
Yeah.
That's real too. So yeah, I don't know. I think my answer is I don't know.
Yeah. What about you?
I have no idea. I honestly, I have no idea, because that is the other outcome. Like maybe find another way to divide people. But I also appreciate diversity. You know, like I think it's not a thing about gender. It's a thing that we only focus on two, and like yeah, there are differences and things, but we all always think about just these two things, like compliment, and like there are no space for diversity as well. Like
Yeah.
if you want to be a unicorn, then just be a unicorn. That's also okay. And why people, like it's just be whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because that's the society I want to live.
Yeah.
Okay, so second dilemma of the day. Would you rather, so if people described you, would you rather say, like, oh, she is this feminist, like being described as a feminist, or not being described as a feminist?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I think that depends on what they put into the word feminist. Because if they put the how I feel as a feminist into it, then I'm like, yes, of course. But if they think of feminists in a negative way, I don't think that would be very nice.
No.
Yeah. And for me, it's more like, why? Like, I think if there is no fear about the word, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
makes me also think like, I want people to address me without fear. Like, like what are your insecurities about the topic? Like it's just call me female or a woman or just I don't know, like without fear to the category. I think it's related with
Yeah.
with what we associate
Yeah.
to that. So
Yeah.
But maybe it's just, I'm thinking right now, maybe I should just make the decision that yes, please call me a feminist, everybody, because I know what it means to me.
Yeah. And I think the next artist would actually agree with you. You picked the song for the next one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe you want to introduce it?
Yeah, it's Boss Bitch by Doja Cat, who is a very, I don't actually know if she calls herself a feminist, but she's a very empowering, female empowering person who is also very hyper feminine and really like she plays with her gender in a very sexy way that provokes a lot of people. Yeah.
Okay, here is Boss Bitch by Doja Cat. Yes, and we are already out of time actually. That was a full hour. I felt like we could have talked for at least 3 hours more because there are so many other parts of feminism and like intersectional feminism that we didn't touch yet, that we should have gone into. But I just want to say to you girls, thanks so much for today. Thank you for being here and talking with me. And I want to say to everyone at home also, thanks for listening. This was another episode of How to Dane, a show about cultural differences. And I hope to see you next week. Thank you.